Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngozi Talk Show, everyone. Find your own voice. Lead from within. Over to you, Evelyn. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm Evelyn van Es and based in the Netherlands. And actually the foundation of what I do is my love for people. I love people and I see people for who they truly are. And so I work as an international business and life coach, speaker and author of Be Relentlessly Yourself, published in 2 languages. And I'm really happy to be here today.
So much. Thank you so much, Evelyn. You actually showed your book very quickly and hit it. We didn't even see anything. This side. Okay. Now it's more like it. Over to you, Shireen. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Noms. Hello, everybody. Yes, I just want to ask you, have you ever felt that you live in the shadow of others, yet unable to stand in a light of your own? Have the need to give to others, yet cannot receive for yourself alone? Spend much of your time uplifting others, setting them apart, and yet you forget that you too need to do your part. Well, today's topic, which is how to learn to stand on your own 2 feet and trust your inner judgment, is really where I work with women. So I work with women with imposter syndrome, who procrastinate, who overgive, and who sophisticatedly hide because they're so afraid that they'll be found out that they're not perfect. So they're like the perfect superwoman who never says no, worries about what people think, put pressure on themselves to perform, and they never stop 24/7. So they end up burnt, stressed, overwhelmed, and depleted. So I help them to step confidently into their sovereign power and take back control, tame their inner saboteur, and realize their magnificence, their perfect, imperfect self, so they can have it all. A lifestyle that's healthy, happy, wealthy, and fun. And lovely to be here today.
Thank you so much, Shireen. Over to you, Dr. Bigot. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Numsa, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depend on where you are. And how comfortable are you in trusting yourself? Let's say you are facing a challenge. Are you comfortable trusting yourself and your decisions and your intelligence and your intuition, regardless of what the mass is saying? Or do you sometimes find yourself a little shaky? How comfortable are you standing on your own 2 feet and not be pulled into 15 different directions, as Shireen says, or trying to appease everybody, which is really actually just a different form of being pulled into 15 different directions. It is very important for you and your success and your peace of mind and creating a beautiful, thriving life that you deserve to be able to trust your own intelligence and judgment, trust your intuitions, and stand on your own 2 feet, while at the same time not being what we call a lone ranger. There's a difference, some people misunderstood between lone ranger and standing in their own 2 feet. And continue listening, because as Surya says, we're going to share on how to do this with you and doing that with ease and grace and lots of fun as well. And I'm Birgit Tan. I am a grief transformation and life success coach, and we'll share more with you today so you can succeed even easier and with a lot more fun and a lot more joy and a lot faster as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Biget. So our topic today is how to stand on your own 2 feet and trust your own intelligence and judgment. Guys, when someone is speaking, can you make sure you're all muted, please? Because it gives a feedback. So I chose this topic. Basically, I was listening to one of the speakers yesterday, the webinar. So this guy, he went, okay, are you that person that actually goes on social media or listen to webinars and you listen to these gurus that tell you to make a wish and everything will come together in life? And he was like, if you are that person that makes wishes, believe in making wishes and everything will come together, you don't believe in hard work, so how has your life worked out? So it was like he had basically 3 steps basically that you need to implement for you to get to where you need to go. So it was like, even if you believe in the universe, you believe in God, gives you blessings, but you still need to work for those blessings. So if you are that person who doesn't trust your own intelligence, and you are that person who does not stand on your own feet, you believe in wishes, and that's why you're broke. So thank you so much, guys. So I'm going to give it to Evelyn. How do you understand the topic? And how does it relate to you?
Well, I think there are many, many, many aspects looking at this topic. Starting off with the fact that talking about intelligence, it's in my perception, in my experience, especially a matter of getting to know yourself at a deeper level, beyond ego, beyond personality. Because, for example, if we look at the intelligence in general, it has 4 different aspects, because you have the intellect, the IQ, you have the emotional intelligence, the EQ, but you also have the spiritual intelligence, the SQ, and you also have a very important one, which is our physical intelligence. And still what I see in my practice is that there are so many, and of course, it's also something I even write a bit about it in my book. In my own experiences, I've also had the experience of not being able to pick up on the signs that your body gave you. And so there are many aspects. Talking about intelligence is how you can understand yourself at a deeper level. How many people keep on running around like crazy while their body is screaming out loud, stop, do something else, do something different, but we still keep on going. For example, so many people that are suffering with migraines, with burnouts, extreme stress, it's all a sign of your body that, your body is actually the last resort, wanting to have you hear it, say, hello, I'm screaming, I'm here, do you hear me? And still so many of us are just, kind of ignoring it. And I think that really is important, to be able to stand on your own feet. It is about all these different levels of intellect, get to a deeper level of self-knowledge and self-awareness, to be able to stand on your 2 feet. So actually, I just wanted to kick off with this, and I have many more things to share, but I just want to give you an opportunity for the others to hop on this topic and add anything to it. So please feel free to unmic yourself and add anything to this. So I just wanted to share this to start off with.
Bigot? Oh, Shireen? You've just been given the stage. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind. I love that. I mean, the all those 4 different types of intelligence or quotients, or the ability to kind of understand our body, not just as one level, but as a combination of all these levels, is so wonderful. Thank you, Evelyn. And yeah, part of my sovereignty program is about always looking at the same thing: the spiritual, the physical, the mental, and the emotional, because emotion is what drives everything, but emotion is also what connects everything too. So we need to go back into those spaces where we can connect. And very often, I think what's happening is we have a disconnect between our mind and our body, and we don't. And because we've got so used to living outside our body and not living in our body, I think a lot of the time is that we don't get to really realize when something is happening. And it only happens when we can't walk or we can't do something. And all of a sudden, it's like the body has said, right, I'm going on AWOL now. I'm not going to go any further until you listen. And this is what I think what a heart attack is. You know, normally people have known for years and years and years before there've been little signs, but they haven't listened. And I think when it comes to learning about our judgment and our intelligence, it's about being able to bring these bits of knowledge together and really discerning where we want to go next, not sitting in judgment of it, but actually learning and swapping judgment to more the word discerning. So that, because I think when we start to go into the judgment role, we start to kind of beat ourselves up, and then that just causes us to disconnect a little bit further. So it may be that it's about understanding that we're going to discern and connect to each other.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shireen. Over to you, Dr. Bigot, please.
Thank you so much, Evelyn and Shireen. Those are beautiful, beautiful descriptions of this topic. I would say one thing that I would add into that is a lot of time, many of us actually know that that it's good for us to trust our own judgment, and we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to do that. We innately know, but at the same time, we're not doing that. And so the question is, why is that? If you know that it is good for you to naturally, many people know that it's good for them to, as Shireen said, listen, and Evelyn said, before your body breakdown. But the question is, why aren't we doing that? And how can you do that? And it is actually a skill that you can develop. So in other words, as you listen to us today, you might say, "Oh yeah, but that's a great idea." But humans are very good in coming up with a lot of buts. And I would say all these are informations that you are to take into practice if you want to do them. Many of us, including myself, at some point, I know very well, even just 8 or 10 years ago, did not listen to my own judgment, did not know how to listen to my own intelligence, whether it's spiritual, emotional, physical, or an actual intelligence and the IQ. And so it's a practice. As you listen to this, go ahead, get your notebook, and take notes. And then you see which one apply best to you and practice. In general, when you listen to this, take a couple points and practice them. And so keep on listening and see which ones rhyme best for you in terms of helping you form this even better connection, as Shireen said, with yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. I actually agree with you, and mostly with Shireen, when you talk about emotions. Emotions is what drives everything, basically, and bringing the knowledge together. And for me, I'll say basically it's very, very important to use your own judgment, because when you actually doing something, you can listen to everybody else, whatever they advise, or even a business coach, you can listen to them when you have a business coach or whatever you're doing in life, but you have to decide the final version of your reality. It doesn't matter whether with the people that you hang around with, it doesn't matter. You have to actually decide, because at the end of the day, everything is going to be, whatever you do is like whatever I do with the Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency and Ghost Talk Show. I said to one day, one of the speakers, we had a disagreement, and then I said to her, listen, at the end of the day, this business is under my belt. Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency is under my name. If I don't use my own judgment, what I believe, my values when it comes to business, at the end of the day, when people are writing the reviews, they're not going to write about any speakers or any coaches. They're just going to, who is the owner of Ngozi Talk Show? Who is the owner of Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency? And then at the end of the day, you have the reality, it always come back to you. So for me, basically, that's why I'll agree with Shireen and you guys, you're right. I'll agree with her that emotions, as long as you don't, basically, you take people's advice. For me, basically, if you give me advice that makes sense, I use it. If it makes sense to me, but if it doesn't go with my values or my beliefs, that I use my judgment for everything that goes with my beliefs. And I use the knowledge that if I do this, does it actually go with my values and my beliefs when it comes to my business, or when it comes to my life in reality, or when it comes to my health? If I'm going to buy food, whatever I eat, although I eat McDonald's, forgive me. Although sometimes I eat McDonald's, so I know I'm eating it once every 2 months or 3 months. I'm allowed to do that. I work very hard to do exercises. So everything you do health-wise, lifestyle-wise, you have to use your own judgment. I was talking to my friend yesterday. She said, Nomsa, you know what? I'm fat. I'm getting fat. I said, what did you just say? And she was like, I am fat. I need help. So I was like, what part do you want me to play? And she was like, I need your support. But what I like about her, she didn't make any excuse about what she's going through. She just used her own judgment and said the way things they are. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look around the people that are doing healthy supplement or whatever and see if they can help you, but you're going to have to do the work. So over to you, Evelyn.
When you were just speaking, I was thinking about the fact that talking about your own judgment, that it is really important to be able to feel at a deeper level, because so many people that I work with and that I speak with are overthinkers, and so they're thinking and their overthinking is really is actually blocking them from being able to really truly feel and be able to know what is my belief or what do I truly think. And so many people, and especially in this world of entrepreneurs, are completely get frustrated and carried away by looking at what others do instead of really staying grounded on their own feet and really having a profound view on themselves and the world, or where they walk their path and they talk their talk without really getting, where they're open for conversations, for interactions, and for inspiration, but where they know at a deeper level what their beliefs are. And I think if you express what you truly think and you do that from your soul, so where it really is pure, there is no fear of consequences. And I think that really is the reason why the title of my book is actually Be Relentlessly Yourself. And it doesn't mean that you're not respectful towards others. Not at all. It's all about being loving and being respectful, but it is about taking up your space by allowing yourself to be truly who you are in your core being, from the soul. And if you do that and you speak up, either if it's in your relationship or if it's in a work relationship or whatever, it doesn't matter what context it is, then there is no fear. So this also is something about, do you choose fear or do you choose love or trust? That's actually, it all ends up with this choice in life, actually. And for me, it is such a privilege to be able to do the work that I do and to help people to trust and to choose for love over fear, because that's the only way that you can live your purpose and do what you're here for. Because I truly believe that we're all here for a specific reason. And I see so many people that are still, wasting their time struggling and being stuck in their own world of fear, instead of, just really spread their wings and soar and live what you're here for. And so, so wrapping this up, it's really about, judgment in the sense of, I think it's not as much judgment as it is about, opening up, taking up your space and expressing what you truly feel, and be fearless about that. Trust the universe and trust that once it's there and you express something from your pure soul, then you know that the consequences of what you express will not be to any harm, to any harm for any other human being. So over to any of the other ladies.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I love it. I love it. So anything that goes that we get to talk to our soul, I am excited about. I love that. So thank you. I'm just going to touch on a little bit, because Birgit said something which is so important, is the idea that we can teach ourselves to learn how to trust ourselves, to get back to that space, which I would call that oneness space of interception, where everything comes together in a way that gives us that sense of connection back to who we are and what we are. And for me, it's just such a privilege when you start to think about or connect with this idea that you've got, say, a center that's not your real self, and there's a center that is your real self, and getting to know that real self in a way that is really the magnificence of who you are, or the magnificence of what I call your God state, the state that is everything, where you're connected to everything. And when you get a sense of reflecting back into that state and can see your magnificence and see that everything that's happening is just the contrast, neither good nor bad, it's just the absence of the light in that moment in time, then when you see your magnificence, you see that godliness, or that essence that is all that is, it gives you the ability to connect at a very deep heart, body, soul, mind level. Everything comes together in that one moment. And you don't, that's the old center that was sort of our false center kind of falls away. And also in that moment, we will do what's right. We will do what's true. And we will work from a place of overflowing, which means that we will bring others into their light too. And we would do whatever it is to see their greatness. So I think it's really about coming into that space and knowing, where are we? Are we in this false center? Are we in this deep, magnificent center? See where we are in that space. How much space are we occupying? Which is what you've said, Evelyn. Are we occupying the full space of our magnificence? And if we're not occupying that full state of our magnificence, we've got to turn towards the light and push the light into that space, so that we get to be that full shining light. So yeah, that's kind of like overwhelming. Right as you brought that in, that just came in for me. So yeah, thank you. And Brigitte?
Thank you. I love your both of you insight on this. And yes, definitely. For many of us, we feel that we know it is good for to come from this, like you said, in being connected and so forth. And I'm going to play of devil advocates for a moment in here. At the same time, we live in a society that says, yeah, well, but that's not logical, you know. That's not practical. Have you ever said that to yourself? That's, my intuition's telling me this. My gut instinct telling me that. Perhaps I'm feeling it on my body, but it's not logical. That's not practical. And it is very interesting the way our society has grown now, because Albert Einstein, or at least he's credited for saying this. Albert Einstein says, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. And that's happened with many of us. And even for those of us who are fully aware and practicing this, very times we say, we have our friends, our significant others, and so forth saying, well, yeah, but what do you mean you're going to listen to your own calling now and stop that job that you have that you hate it so much? But I mean, you got to have your benefit, don't you? I mean, what are you going to do if you don't have a government job and government benefits? Or something like that, in that similar scenario. And so it is something that many times when we hear a lot of this, we might hear and say, that's great idea. But going back to that, but I'm different. You don't know about my situation. Just remember, every time you, as Evelyn says, many times you would think and think and think. Why? Because the moment you born, and if any of you have heard the name Bob Proctor, he illustrates this very well. The moment you are able to hear and think and receive anything, you have everything being poured into you by society and to form you, which is what Albert Einstein says, that you learn to honor the servants, which is, it's very important. None of us saying, by the way, to not listen to your IQ. That's not what we're saying either. We want to be able to combine both. You want to be able to use apparently your logical mind, but also to learn to tap in. And I keep saying learning because some of you might have heard that I'm a doctor. Can you imagine how much a doctor trained to use their logical mind? And, never mind those intuitions because those are not scientific. But just remember, every time you listen to anybody saying, it's not logical, remember what Albert Einstein says for all of us. And this was back in the day. Imagine now with all the technologies and everything. And so back to you, Numsa, on your insight on this.
I like Dr. Biggett, your comment as well, and I like Shireen and Evelyn. So you said we look at what others do, and you talk about your book, that your book basically is all about being truly yourself and trusting who you are and trusting the universe that everything you do, basically doing things and being able to face the consequences, because everything you do in life, there are consequences. It's either good consequences and people saying, wow, your work is amazing, or people judging your work, criticizing it. So those are the consequences that you have to face. And Dr. Biggett, you talk about sometimes we don't know people, we don't know their situation. And I've been in that situation where when I was going through my divorce, I sat down talking to psychologists and trying basically to, while I was going through it and trying to move out of the house, making a decision in that I'm not going to stay in the house with my daughter if my ex is moving out. And I was talking to a psychologist saying, I feel that I need to move out, not because he's moving out, because I need a fresh start. And I don't want to stay in the same house where we lived as a family. So I remember making a decision and talking to him, and he was saying, it's fine, whatever you want to do is fine. But I didn't know what God was planning behind the scenes. We lived in Essex, and he was working he's a scientist, he was working at Cambridge University. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna move to Oxfordshire, looking at online, the best school. We're gonna move to Oxfordshire, me and my daughter. And we moved to Hanley, and when we moved, and I was like, I'm gonna take a 2-bedroom house. So my friend came with me to see the flat, and she was like, I'm confused. And I was like, why are you confused? I'm saying this because of what Dr. Biggett has said. I had planned my life. I had written everything down with a professional. She was helping me. I had 3 psychologists helping me to plan my life. I quit football, and I was like, I need to go to a different city. And I moved to this town, and my friend was like, Nomsa, I don't understand. I'm confused. And I was like, why are you confused? She was like, why would you leave? Okay, the place where you are living is beautiful, but why would you move out from big house and take this small house? I'm confused. I was like, there's nothing wrong with confusion. It's just me and my daughter. So what are we going to do with the big place? And I was like, my other place, it took me 3 hours to clean. I don't want that time. I don't want to spend 3 hours cleaning the house. So I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So we moved in, and 4 weeks later, he got transferred to Oxford University, basically permanent. So that means because he's a consultant, he works for himself. So they gave him a permanent post as a scientist. Oxford University, 20 minutes or 30 minutes from where we are. So that means there was something that was being planned regardless of what I was going through. I didn't know what was happening, and he didn't know that actually the university, they're going to transfer him to another university. So he ended up being where we are. So, and then I was like, sometimes you have to trust your judgment with whatever you do in life. I look at my life. And guess what? In that judgment, when I was doing the process, moving into a small house, me enjoying my life, I lost so many friends because people were like, we don't understand that you're going to leave and walk away from all this. And I was like, it is my life. They were not against my divorce, but they were against me not fighting for finances and everything. I was like, I've got it all figured out. I'm gonna be okay. So when I moved here, it turns out that my daughter, her dad realized actually we need to put her first. So since then, he just put his daughter, and he's there every step of the way, finances. And I moved here, and he was like, if you don't want to live in a proper house, then she goes to a private school. I was like, I'm good with it. I'm fine. So to me, everything was God's plan. But that's why it's very important, like when your book that you have written, Evelyn, that you need to live your life unapologetic, because if you make the wrong decisions, it is your life. You have to learn from those decisions. And for me, it was a right decision for me, like putting everything first. It made my in-laws and everything, I became closer to them because they realized that actually we really had problems. We really had problems in our relationship, and they were like, we're not gonna just to let you go. We're just gonna be there every step of the way. And even today they are there because of the attitude that I put on, that I'm not gonna fight for all this. I just had enough because I had had enough. So if anyone is watching, I'm saying this because of sometimes we fight, we choose to fight when things are going bad. But when we fight, we are fighting our health, basically. So my health became stable. It was fine. Because I had all these psychologists, I decided to put everything in my personal development and put a degree. I had a team that was helping me. So over to you, Evelyn, please.
Yeah, thank you, Namsa. And I think if I look back on my journey in life so far, professionally, but also personally, it really is a journey, a deep journey in getting to find a way how to make heartfelt choices. And for me, that's been quite a roller coaster in life. You know, we've been in different jobs, opportunities in the corporate world, an entrepreneur now for 15 years, been in relationships, and these were all very, as I can say now, valuable mirrors for me to help me to get to know myself, but also especially regarding making these heartfelt choices. And I think that really is the most important thing, is that to walk your path in life and to do what really is meant for you and what your purpose is all about, you know, learning to see the opportunity when the opportunity arises, but also act on it. And I think it was Brigitte that mentioned it, is that of course our intelligence and our way of thinking is extremely important. It's not that if you're an overthinker, you should, you know, completely want to delete your thinking. No. It's a matter of learning how you can make important decisions that are heartfelt, but doing that in combination with using that intelligence. So it's both. It's doing both of that, but especially being very keen on when, and I'm gonna say that again, when the opportunity arises, that you take action on it. And that's something that I had to learn in, you know, listening better to my intuition, because I'm a really strong thinker, and I learned that in my corporate career. So there, you know, strategic wise, that comes really handy with the work that I do, but especially being able to feel when something comes up that really is, when the opportunity is there and you know it feels right, that you act on it and you do something with it. And it's just like you were just explaining your example with that house. That was something you felt it was right, you did it, and then it doesn't really matter what people think and what their opinion is. This is your feeling and this is right for you at this moment, so act on it. And I think that's where a lot of us, because once you have that opportunity and when you have this urge on acting on it, and then when the thinking takes over, then, you know, it's kind of dead. There's no opportunity anymore to take action. And I think that's a moment where the overthinking is really blocking you from using that intuition. So it really is getting a deeper knowledge of yourself and understanding how these two, you know, strings are kind of, you know, playing with you. And that really is a journey, and especially to get out there, you know, take steps and discover what your boundaries are. And that's the best way to get to know yourself and to understand where your deep beliefs are from the heart. And so that's it for now. I'm gonna move it over to one of you.
I was just enjoying listening. So you could have gone on more from what I was concerned. Yeah, and I'm going to add, I think what really struck and came up for me was something about, which was what Birgit said, which was the intuitive mind is the sacred gift, and the rational mind is the serpent, is the faithful servant. And I think what really came up for me in that moment was this idea that at which point are we choosing? Are we choosing, as you said, from a heartfelt decision? Are we choosing with love, or are we choosing from that fearful state? And I think that's really where which is part of the idea of when we're judging.
Oh, she hopped off.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So let me fill in. Hopefully, Shirin will be able to come back again.
I got kicked out, obviously.
It was a
Something was
wonderful
going on.
cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger. You were, yeah, because you were building up on the fear and love again.
Yeah, yeah.
Earlier, Shireen.
Yeah, and I got kicked out. Yes. Yeah. So for me, it's really about how do there's this commitment about making a choice between between the space and the stimulus and the response. Are we going to create the choice so that we can choose to decide which way we're going to be in alignment with the decision we made? And as you say, rational decisions can be really, really powerful. They're useful. But if you're going with unhealthy skepticism in order to be right, or in order to disprove, if there's some agenda in how you're rationalizing, which is very much what does go on in a way, I think science sometimes is very much lenient towards that kind of spectrum. They're not looking at it from the point of how do I want to prove this is right? How do I want to add to? And I think we don't spend enough time in that aspect. So it really is using our rational mind to start looking for, like, I want to find God in here. I want to find what really is going on in here. And I'm be open that if I don't see what it is and it doesn't fit with what I'm thinking about, then I'm happy to change it. But I want to find something that's going to resonate. And I think that's kind of a really important aspect on how we ask the question, how we discern, how do we go into that judgment. And you're not using it from a point of wanting to prove anything except to know and to glorify the knowing that comes with it. Yeah. And that's me done there.
I love that, Shirin, and I love what both of you says. It is very beautiful, and as you say just now, to use that judgments to glorify that. What I want to add is two things. First of all, as Numsa share with your experience, Numsa, you do this, which is what feels right for you, and then it turned out that's kind of, in a way you can say, oh, when you're doing it, you didn't know. You follow your intuition and then see that it is actually something that is in alignment to what it is. And many times, and we're not aware, and some of us do, but if you ever listens to the Bible, Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you." What's that means? That means before you even born, life, God, whatever word that you want to choose, has already set a purpose for you. Help you. It set a purpose. Now there is a difference between which some people say, well, I don't believe that everything I do is dictated by something up there. That's not what we're saying, but there is a purpose. There is a design for you. We're all here, somebody says earlier, we're all here for specific purpose. We all have different role. And so now most of us do, the majority of us does not come into this world born as a baby and then immediately know, yep, that got to be my purpose. Don't necessarily do that. How do we do that? We learn by connecting. We learn to connect into our inside. And then it's actually, as Numsa shared in a beautiful example, it's actually help you to fulfill your purpose. It's helped you direct. Now, the other thing that I love what Evelyn says is you can listen all you want to anything, including your own intuition or everybody else. But if you don't do anything, you say, oh yeah, I agree with my intuition. Now, yeah, I agree with my muscle telling me that it's time to take a rest or so forth. If you don't take actions, it doesn't mean anything. At the bottom of everything is you got to take actions into it. You can listen to all this year, all day, every day. These talk shows is here. You can listen to everything in here, and you keep listening, and you keep listening, and you keep listening. Mary Morrissey, one of my mentors, says, inspiration without action is entertainment. So you can choose if you listening to this or listening to your intuitions going to be an entertainment, or is it something that's serving you by you taking action. And actually, in terms of listening to your intuition, listening to your spiritual intelligence, your body intelligence, listening to your body and so forth, the more you take actions on that. We talk about how do you do that. We talk about this is a skill that you can develop. How you do that? By taking action and taking action one little step at a time. And just like when we're learning something, even as a doctor, sometimes the first 1 or 2 times you didn't do it perfectly at all. Nobody's come out from medical school, did the most pristine surgery. It takes experience. How do you experience? You take action, you take actions, you take action. And knowing that whatever it is, even if you seems to be going a path that different from everybody, you sanctified that it is something that you meant to be.
Thank you so much, Dr. Biggett. I like it when you say everything. You talk about Jeremiah, knew you before you were formed from your mother's womb. I'm a big love of the Bible, by the way. I love the Bible. And every decision that I make is like right now I need to change things and go to talk show. So I'm basically reading John chapter 14, so I'm going to put the scripture as well, the whole chapter, because the whole chapter is all about anything you ask in my name, I will do it. So I'm like, God, this is Ngozi Talk Show, my destiny. What is written about Ngozi Talk Show? So I've made it basically to say, okay, things are going to change, but I'm using the Bible to change that, because that's what I believe. That's what has helped me to build the Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency. And Evelyn, you talk about walk your path. I just love it. I love it when someone says walk your path. I used to wear high heels, but I used to wear this much inch. And I was like, one day when I was working on my confidence after the divorce, and I was like, I need to walk my path. So I went and bought some high heels. I used to walk with them in the house. I practice, I dance with them. And and everything just became like easier. And I was like, now I need to practice. I need to challenge myself. Normally, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So when I go out, instead of dancing with flat shoes, I need to learn to dance with really, really high heels. So I need to do that. So I taught myself to do that. And I was like, this is actually exciting. And Shireen, you talk about judgment, the trust in God and just being glorified. I was reading about one of the scriptures yesterday as well, and it talks about when you actually trust Him and trust His love, whatever decision you make, He will hold your hand and make sure that it comes to pass, because Him helping you is going to glorify our Father in heaven, and I love that as well. And basically, I love you guys, what you just talk about, the three of you, because in life you'll have to learn to walk your path, even if you don't believe in yourself. Like yesterday, I joined Page, what's his name, Peter Page. I was doing his challenge, and he sent me back because I didn't leave any comment, so he doesn't believe that I watched day 1, 2, and 3. So he's asking me to go back and watch day 1 and leave a comment based on what I have asked, what I was watching. So I was like, okay, I've got notes, so I'm gonna go back and watch it. But then I was going through online yesterday. I came across the webinar because I'm making a decision. But this webinar, it took me to another side. When I went to that side, it basically said, Dr. Bigger, talk about creating goals and take action. So this website is going to help me. This, guys, is a community where you have to try it for 3 months. Basically, it helps you to go step by step. Every day they put a webinar, and you have to take action, and you have to come back. And you get accountability buddies that will ask you, what have you done? So I was like, this is what I need, creating my goals and also working on myself. This is what I need. So I've registered myself. I did part 1. And when I listened to the guy, he was like, if you really, really want to do this course, or otherwise you have to get out. You have to watch everything. You cannot jump with the topic that you like. Every topic, at the end, you have to act on the goals. And when you act on the goals, you come back with the community and show them what you've done. So I like something like that because it's going to help me to, that's how I built Hope Springs Tenant Introduction Agency, but it cost me lots of money because I didn't know these resources exist. But now I know that there's this website, so I can just focus on it. Before I will hire somebody and say, this is what I'm doing, please hold me accountable. So thank you so much. Any words of encouragement, Evelyn, that you would like to leave with our audience?
Yes, I was just writing a sentence down, and there were just a couple of things I was thinking of. Is that I think it's also important to mention is that the way we see the world is an outcome of our idea about it, and there is no the truth. There is no, there is, the only thing that there is your truth, and what it is that it's the thought behind the thought that's the leading thought. So I'm going to say that again. The thought behind the thought is the leading thought. So sometimes, we're talking about when you want to create something or you want something in your life. For example, you want more clients or you want more money. But when the true thought is something that there is a consciousness of lack, you will attract lack. And you will not attract what you actually want because it's something that so that's something I just wanted to stress out how important that is. And that all is about getting to know yourself at a deeper level, because if you don't do that, you're going to be walking around and round and round in life. And I think that every challenge life has, thrown at me in my journey is all a consequence of the choices I made. And sometimes the choices I made that were not heartfelt, but choices that I made out of, a consciousness that I was not aware of at that time. And I think that it just really is a richness of the life that I live now, that I can truly say that I'm learning and I'm acting on it. And I even have the privilege of spreading the word with my book and to share that with the world also in my speaking. And so it's been a pleasure being here today and sharing this with you. So it's over to either one of the other ladies.
Want to go, Brigitte, or do you want me?
Yes, please.
All right.
Words of encouragement, please.
Oh, I love that, because yes, the thought beyond the thought is really the leading thought, and it reminds me of Nancy Klein's work, which is really about what to ask the question, what do you think, feel, and want to say about that, and to just keep asking that until you get to the thought that sits right at the bottom, which is really what I call the bottom layer, or the layer that's pretty much driving the whole lot. And it does take a little bit of time to do that, to actually stop enough to ask those questions and then to ask it again. And normally there's a part of you that'll say, I'm sick and tired of this right now. But if you persevere, if you ask again, you will get that answer. And I think that the secret for me, and as a cognitive person, is really that every time you ask, you're basically moving information from sort of behind in your brain to bring it forward. And we know, and from a neurological perspective, God sits in the back of our brain almost in the way we experience and feel God. And so when we can bring that forward, it's like thought and feeling come together to match and to create a whole feeling, and you get to that true feeling. And then you can make a decision. You make a decision on which way you're going to act. And when you act in that place, you've told the universe enough, or you've kind of found the space where you can trust that whatever you do is right for you. And it doesn't matter, because you will feel it deeply within your gut that is right, because you've gone through this process. So yeah, have a go. Try it out.
Thank you so much, Sharina. Over to you, Dr. Bigot.
Thank you. I just want to make sure, we mentioned this at the beginning, that there is a difference between trusting yourself and your intuition, your physical, emotional, spiritual intelligence, as well as your logic. There's a difference between trusting yourself and having to do things yourself. There is a difference between a lone ranger and following your intuitions. And even in a time where, as Numsas give an example, she trusts herself and her intuitions, and everyone that seemingly around you says, that's not what you have to do. If you feel you can benefit from help, from support, trust that as you trust yourself, you will receive the support that you need, that there is somebody out there. You don't have to feel alone, because when you feel alone, it can be very scary to take actions. You don't have to worry. There are people who support you, who believe in you, including us here in this show. Many of us been through this journey. And so if you are at the point you're making a decision and you said, I really can benefit from somebody who can believe in me instead of all this naysayer, feel free to reach out. Reach out to us, reach out to me, reach out to Numsa, reach out to any of the coaches in here that you listen to today. We're here for you. There's a difference between standing on your own 2 feet and then having to do everything with your own only 2 hands. And everything, particularly when you have to do things your way and not what everybody else saying, that's when you can benefit from support the most. So we'll be here if you'd love our support. There is a difference, and we would love to see you succeed as easy as possible with as much support that you allow yourself to have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bigot. And basically, trust your own intuition and make a decision based on what you want to do in life. And Evelyn talks about walk your own path. It's very, very important to walk your own path. I used to look at people, the way they dress, I would be like, oh, I like that. But then I realized, actually, when I was getting into personal development and psychology, I realized actually I need to create my own style. So just be who you want to be, and use your beliefs as well. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. If I have to fast for 20 days, when I'm making a decision for me to do the right decision, I will do it. So just use your beliefs to take you to where you want to go. And Dr. Bigot says there's lots of coaches here who can hold your hands. So live with grace, everyone. We're here Monday to Friday, and God bless you.